Well, welcome back, everybody, to Thriving Your Body with Homeopathy series, where we discuss what homeopathy can do for you and your loved ones, especially if you're suffering from a chronic health condition. So, today's interview is something I have been waiting for with a lot of excitement. And let me tell you that. So, what if I were to tell you that you can now call a highly skilled homeopath any time of the day and night to help you alleviate an acute illness crisis? So this sounds a bit like a dream, but it is not a dream, but actual reality. So our guest today, Clare Gregory, will tell you all about her newest service, homeopathic service called Swift. And this service allows you to do just that, call a homeopath. Anytime you may wake up at night or start have an acute emergency, you need to speak with somebody, now you can. So I am very much looking forward to introducing you to this wonderful service and also to have a wonderful chat with Clare Gregory. So let me introduce her a little bit to you and tell you about her in her own words. So Clare says that as far back as she can remember, she witnessed close family members struggle with ill health and taking conventional medicines to help. She has watched them having to deal with the inevitable side effects, which led them to taking more medication and therefore more side effects. So believing that there is a more natural way to heal our bodies, she actively sought out alternative and complementary therapies for her own use. She has used reflexology, acupuncture, and Reiki to assist with her own health issues over the years before being introduced to homeopathy, which herself and her family have now been using for over 16 years. So a welcome change in personal circumstances has led Clare to the perfect opportunity to study this wonderful subject, and here she is, a registered homeopath. And she's looking forward to helping others on their own individual healing journey. So let me bring Clare in. Welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you today, Clare. I am really looking forward to speaking with you.
Lovely. Thanks, Monica. It's lovely to be here.
Wonderful. So let's just start with a little bit more with your journey. And can you tell us about, what led you to homeopathy and what made you feel so passionate about this medicinal art?
Yeah, sure. Well, like I said, I'd watched my close family members struggle with many different health conditions and using the conventional medical system. And then when I had my second child, I found myself in a situation where I was experiencing what was identified as postnatal depression. And speaking to my GP, it seemed that the only option they were able to offer me was to take antidepressant medication. And I just didn't want to go there. Having seen what it had done to family members, I just thought there has to be another way. So I was incredibly lucky that a friend of a friend introduced me to homeopathy. She recommended a therapist that was very close to me. She said, I really think you should go and speak to this lady. I think she might be able to help you. I had never heard of homeopathy. Whilst I had used reflexology and Reiki and other forms of holistic medicine and alternative medicine, I'd never heard of homeopathy. So I went off and saw this lady with no expectations, with absolutely an empty mind. And I sat and we chatted, and it was really nice and lovely and calming. And she gave me over an hour of her time. And at the end of it, she gave me this little packet with these little white pills in, and off you go, take these. And I sort of walked out of there in a little bit of a disbelieving sort of, I'm not sure what's just happened kind of thing. Took the pills, and within 7 to 10 days, it was just over a week later, I was like, actually, do you know what? I feel really good. I feel a bit more relaxed. I feel I'm sleeping better. I actually started to feel like me again. And the depressive mood and the depressive state I was in, I felt it actually lifting. So continued to take the meds, the homeopathic medicine for the 4 weeks as prescribed, and went back to see her for a follow-up, and I was a different person. And I was blown away. and that was it. So from that day forward, homeopathy became my number one medicine of choice. I continued to treat both my children and my husband with homeopathy where I could. Being a home prescriber and doing little bits and pieces from the little bits I knew, but referring back to my homeopath for the additional help and guidance. So yeah, it was an absolute revelation, and I am so thankful that I actually found homeopathy.
Yeah, isn't that so often that we actually find it as practitioners because we experience that the magic of it. And like you say, I think the biggest magic is that you just suddenly start to feel like yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, I was amazed at how other things that I possibly hadn't identified as that were off, I suddenly realised they were feeling better, and so actually it was my overall health that improved, and I'm really quite sure that other than just dealing with the postnatal depression, which I was struggling with at that time, it really did help balance me in an holistic way, and overall it enabled me to be, I feel, a better mother to my two small children at that time.
Very well. So let's jump into talking a little bit about, what homeopathy is and what kind of conditions it can treat, especially for our viewers who maybe have not experienced a lot of it yet. So let's start with the subject of acute versus chronic conditions, because I know that it's a big division in the homeopathy world. We treat homeopathically, we treat differently acute and chronic conditions. Can you tell us about the difference and how homeopathy treats either of them?
Cool. Okay. Well, an acute condition is something that we homeopaths call a condition that has arrived very quickly. It's usually got a very, very sudden onset. And it's conditions that appear quickly and have very intense symptoms and can be really quite uncomfortable at first. Things like sore throats, coughs, colds, flu is a good one, conjunctivitis, upset tummies, those kind of things. Left alone, they would normally self-heal or treat within probably 2 to 3 weeks. But if we use homeopathy, we can drastically shorten that time frame, and we can see relief coming through really quickly, and get people back on their feet much more quickly. So an acute condition is something that's sort of short-lived, and it's a self-limiting condition. And on the flip side of that, we have what we call chronic conditions. Chronic conditions are much more deep-rooted. They have a slower onset. They appear over time. So you might just notice that gradually you've got an odd symptom that keeps coming back every now and then, and you don't particularly feel poorly with it, but you just notice something's happening, and over time it gets worse and worse, and it starts to affect your day-to-day life, and so then it's time to do something about it. Things like arthritis, perhaps, that's got a very slow onset. High blood pressure, diabetes, maybe polycystic ovaries, infertility, which is a little specialist subject of mine. I like to deal with infertility cases. What else? Parkinson's, thyroid issues. I mean, there's so many chronic conditions. And like I said, they're just deeper rooted, and we need a full case history for them. We investigate them a lot more. We gather a lot more information so that we can formulate together with the patient an ongoing treatment plan that's individualized and very specific for them, for how they're experiencing their chronic condition.
Okay, so I think important part to emphasize is that for a chronic condition, we really need to have a longer interview with the homeopath. We really have to dig deep into the causes, into the past, into the familial conditions, and everything that's happening around it, versus an acute condition that comes on suddenly can take a shorter time as a consultation. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. With an acute case, we're looking for consultations to be about 15 to 20 minutes. You are focusing your case taking very much on the symptoms being experienced in that moment. You gather all the modalities about the current symptom picture. You use your clams, and I'll explain clams a bit later. You're looking at just what's happening for them right now. So you're going to end up with a whole symptom list of symptoms. And I would say don't ignore any emotional and physical conditions. They can be really helpful in an acute. We don't want to dive too deeply into them, but if a patient is offering up to you, they might say something like, I am so angry right now. This couldn't be happening at a worse time. Or if they say, do you know what, I just feel so low right now. I just feel so teary. I could just sit in the corner and cry. Those are important mental emotional pictures to take into account. And they might just be the one thing that's going to help you differentiate between one remedy and another. Acute, we're not going on a deep dive. It's just the current symptoms plus a little bit of mood, how they're actually feeling. And then in comparison, we've got the chronic cases. And a chronic case, really, case taking is an hour to an hour and a half. You really are digging deep. You need to know everything about this patient. You are now building this holistic picture of them. Obviously, you're going to start with what's brought them into the consultation room. Why are they here? What are they looking for? What do they want treated? What outcomes are they looking for? You then begin to talk about that. Talk about the symptoms they're experiencing, the physical and mental and emotional right now, and then we take it back, like you say, into their family histories. We take them back to through their childhood diseases, things that they had, any traumas that have happened through their lifetime, any grief. Then we can either go further back, any genetics that are there, any historical family conditions that you see coming through. Depending on what the chronic condition is, we delve deep and deep, and it is very much individualized to the case, but we are prepared at that point with our hour and a half consultation to go as deep as we need to find the point, the trigger, the why is this happening for this person right now? We're looking for the root cause. Is what.
Yes, it's so important. I think that we have to educate ourselves as patients, because it's such a different way of approaching healing and disease than it is in conventional medicine, where you really are not supposed to talk about your feelings and all the stuff that the doctor doesn't care. But in homeopathy, yes, never stop yourself from actually sharing everything that comes up, even with the acute, even if it's a flu or a headache or something simpler. It's really important to share with your homeopath about your emotions, about how you feel, about the state of your being right now, because that helps to find the correct, perfect remedy for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're quite right. In our conventional medicine paradigm, we are absolutely not used to sharing that amount of information. We have, in most doctors' surgeries, you get maybe 5 to 10, certainly here in the you get a 6-minute consultation to tell that doctor what is going on for you right now, and then they make a diagnosis from that, which is really hard. I mean, obviously, as homeopaths, we are not making diagnosis at all. We are gathering information to understand why that person's body is currently throwing out that symptom, and why their body is currently in disharmony, and what we can do to bring it back to balance. And actually, you know, I'm a great believer actually in us as homeopaths giving clients and patients just that time and that space to be able to feel heard and to be listened to. That is all part of the homeopathic process, in my opinion.
Yes, that's healing itself as well. Very good. So where do you feel homeopathy is the most effective, and why?
when is homeopathy most effective and why? Okay, that's a good question. I think lots of people come to homeopathy when they have tried everything else and they're at the end of their tether and they really don't know what else to try. That does put homeopathy, a lot of pressure on the homeopath and on homeopathy, because we're quite often seen as the last resort. But maybe when people are that desperate, that's actually the best time to treat, because we can give them hope, and we, like I said, we give them a safe space to talk. We actually actively encourage them to get in touch with their own feelings and their own body, and we are asking them to take some responsibility for using homeopathy as an alternative treatment, and it empowers people to get in touch with what's happening within their bodies, and I think that's really powerful. And when people can feel that they've got the power, then homeopathy, I feel, is really effective.
Beautiful. Yes. So if somebody here listening and maybe have been through many different treatments and have seen many doctors and is kind of at the end of the rope, actually homeopathy can be a wonderful next step. And this is when, yes, and it's very possible you will find healing even though you have not found it before. So, and we won't delve deep today into chronic situations, because I do want to talk about more of an acute and your service as well. But this is something I just really wanted to emphasize. What would you say, Claire, for people who are listening, I know there's a lot of people who are listening who have never experienced homeopathy, or maybe have a very sort of a superficial understanding of it. So for them, what would be the easiest way to actually see a homeopath, and without sort of having to jump full on, because it may be scary. Oh, seeing a homeopath for an appointment that will last an hour and a half, and I have to tell them my entire life. Like, this can be a little bit off-putting for some. So what would be a better way for those people to actually, dip their toes into homeopathy without jumping full on?
You're right. Homeopathic consultations can be quite daunting. Like I said earlier, we're not really conditioned to step into an office and pour our whole life story out in an hour and a half to a complete stranger. So I think my advice would be try homeopathy for an acute condition first. Something that's small, something that's you will be able to see the results from taking the homeopathic treatment in real time and really quite quickly. I think that will build people's confidence up. It will introduce them to our slightly different way of doing a consultation, get them familiar with some of the questions we ask. Some of the questions seem a little bit irrelevant to people when we ask, you say to somebody, oh, tell me about your headache. And they say, well, it's a headache. And we say, okay, but what does the pain feel like? Where exactly is the pain? And can you give it a score out of 10? How intense is the pain? Does it move? Does it change? Does it? And they look at you like, it's just a headache. Well, actually, it's not. There's all those different elements of it are going to help us to find the right remedy. If we then go on to like acute cases, obviously we like I said, we delve deeper and we ask many more questions, and people just aren't used to that. So my advice is go for treatment for an acute case first and ease in gently, dip the toe in, feel the benefit of it, realize the difference, and embrace the new, because it's going to be, once you have that first taste, you're going to love it and it's going to change your life.
Yes, especially when you see the effects of the remedies.
Absolutely.
But also, for many people listening, they may be thinking that homeopathy is very much like other sort of natural forms of medicine, maybe naturopathy or herbology. What would you say? What distinguishes homeopathy from other methods that are holistic?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so a naturopath is also an holistic approach to well-being. They're looking at treating the whole person as well. They use lots of different approaches. They include advice on your diet, advice on nutrition, physical therapies, exercise, and other appropriate techniques that they feel that person needs. And obviously it's case dependent, very individualized as we are. With homeopathy, we only really treat with homeopathy. We are very much focused on the homeopathic remedies. Of course, we can give some adjunctive advice, and you will always get homeopaths that have other strings to their bow that can give the other advice. But as a homeopath, I'm looking to give homeopathic remedies that are going to bring some balance into the person. I'm looking for the root cause of why the disharmony is there, rather than just looking to give a treatment for now. Obviously, we are treating in the now, but we are understanding and realizing that there is a past that has led us to this point. So I can't really talk too much about naturopaths. Obviously, I'm not one, so that's difficult. But I can say, with homeopathy, it is about balancing the vital force within each individual person, using the homeopathic remedies to unlock what is causing this person's current disharmony.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think what also it feels important is that oftentimes when we go to a naturopath, we end up with a whole box of different medicines, and they may cost a lot of money. With homeopaths, usually we end up with one little a vial of white pills, or maybe a couple if that's if that's necessary, and you won't be taking a lot of supplements, and so we usually are looking for this one perfect medicine for you. And that's why it's so important to go back and unravel that whole life history and understand who you are as a person and your history and your family, and because this enables us to find that perfect remedy, so you don't have to take the whole box of medicines again. And I think that's important to people too.
Yeah, because it can, when you are feeling, so if it's in a chronic condition, when you're feeling low and you just need some help, if you're then suddenly given a whole bunch of information to process and you've got to do it all for yourself, it can be overwhelming. With homeopathy, I don't feel you get that overwhelm. You're given a very, like you said, exactly that, just a couple of homeopathic remedies, and then we reassess and move forward for ongoing cases, and adjust accordingly. I mean, that's the other thing I love about homeopathy, is that you can adjust treatment plans so quickly and easily as the person changes and develops and shows, the body gives you more symptoms to show you where to go next. It's just a beautiful therapy.
Very good. Yeah. So since we're delving a little bit more into what homeopathy is, what do you feel for viewers who are watching and getting curious about homeopathy? What are homeopathic principles that you think they should know about which would make it easier for them to actually access and receive care?
Okay. Well, I guess, the main principle, one of the main principles is that we're using remedies, to deal with the symptom in front of us. So we are looking for the most similar remedy, the most suitable one, and we have a philosophy of like cures like, which a lot of my patients will say, if they're suffering with insomnia, they say, we talk about the whole coffee scenario, don't drink coffee because it keeps you awake. And then I've got a client with insomnia and I'm going to give them coffee as a remedy. And I don't understand. I've already told you coffee keeps me awake. I was like, yeah, but this philosophy, the way we prescribe, we give like to treat like. So I find lots of people just find that a little bit mind-blowing. They can't really, they in comparison to conventional medicine, that is a completely different approach. And the other thing I would like to say for people is, if I were to have 10 people in front of me all suffering with insomnia, they would all be experiencing their insomnia in a slightly different way. And so those 10 people in front of me will all get a different remedy, because the little nuances in their case will mean something is more relevant to them than someone else. Clearly, obviously, in conventional medicine, you go with 10 people with insomnia will likely all start off with the same pill to try and help that situation. But, you know, we're very individualistic in homeopathy, and it's all about that individual person.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's so important, because you will be treated as an individual and as a unique person, and not just another number or somebody who has a headache. And so I think that it's so empowering as well to people to benefit from homeopathic treatment, to actually feel, you know, they are being seen as an individual person, as a unique case, as somebody who is not just another number in the doctor's office. So yeah, very good. Okay, so one more question that I have that I think will be helpful to people to get some information about is, how can we prepare as patients? How can we best prepare to receive the homeopathic treatment? How do we prepare for the appointment?
Okay, so if we're talking about chronic cases, for instance, let's start with that. If it's a chronic case, I think you need to be prepared to accept that this is a journey. You're on a journey to well-being, and you need to be open and honest with your practitioner. Your homeopath is going to ask some uncomfortable questions, but we need the answers to those questions to be able to help you the best. And the more specific and the more engaged you are with answering those questions with full honesty, the better the outcome is going to be for you as a patient. So yeah, I think being honest is probably one of the biggest things, but accepting that it's a journey, because, you know, we have as homeopaths different prescribing techniques available to us. So it can be that depending on where you are in your journey, we're going to use different techniques. And we can only know that from the information you give us. So whether it's constitutional prescribing that we're doing to really support and work on the core of your existence, if you like, the core of your being as a holistic person, or whether we're going on along the route of doing a detox. Perhaps you've had lots of antibiotics or medication, and we're trying to cleanse your body of some of that stagnant energy that's held within due to medication. We can only decide on those treatment processes based on what you tell us. So be open and honest with your homeopath.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you so much. That is so important. I'm glad that you mentioned that. So we talked a little bit about homeopathy and how to be a good patient. And I would love to now jump into talking about Swift. As I mentioned at the beginning, you know, to me, it's a dream come true, because often, say, we may wake up at night with a headache or you know, diarrhea or you know, terrible tummy ache, and like, what do I do, right? And now, as I understand, we can call a homeopath. Because tell us a little bit more about Swift and what it is and how you created it.
Absolutely. Well, Swift is a 24-hour online homeopathic clinic. We are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And so no matter what time of day or night it is, if you need some homeopathic advice, you can jump onto your mobile phone, onto your laptop, and you just visit our website, and within minutes, you are chatting with a homeopath. All of our homeopaths are vetted. They're all professionally qualified homeopaths. And they are there just waiting for your call. What else can I say? Why did I start? Why did I think that Swift was a good idea? Here in the UK, we have a disconnect with our health service, and for many acute conditions, for many of the common and minor ailments that people suffer, like we said earlier, coughs, colds, flus, conjunctivitis, those kind of things, upset tummies, you can't get to see a medical practitioner here in the UK. You're being advised to go and see go and visit your pharmacist, or you're just being told to self-care at home. That's the way it should be. And actually, for me, I thought, lots of people are going to need lots more support than that. You can't just leave people being unheard. So that was one of the reasons why I thought there's a gap there where people need help. So I'm going to bring homeopathy into that market so that people feel they have got somewhere to go, that they can feel that they've got somebody to talk to. Other than that, why did we think Swift was a good idea? The world needs to know about homeopathy. And as we said earlier, one of the best ways to try it without jumping in and being overwhelmed by the whole topic is to try it for an acute. So having this 24-hour service that it's available worldwide, people can just, at the moment they need some help most, they don't have to wait for a surgery to open. They don't have to wait for the doctor's, phone to be available. They can, whatever time, day or night, jump on, connect instantly and talk with a homeopath. And just like we said, maybe dip their toe in, try it, and consider that they might want to use it ongoing. But actually, this service is about connecting homeopaths with clients and, giving people peace of mind that they don't have to struggle on with minor conditions at home. There is somebody there to help, and homeopathy is a great way to do that. Mm-hmm. But actually, aside from the clients and bringing homeopathy into the homes of people, which is really what we want to do, bring it into their homes, Swift is also about providing a great place for homeopaths to be. Actually, we are looking to support homeopaths in their work. Sometimes being a homeopath can be quite a lonely profession, particularly now with the introduction of Zoom and online consultations. Lots of homeopaths are working from home, so they don't even get to interact with other homeopaths. But Swift is offering a place where it's a fabulous team, and we have regular team meetings and there is support. We have ongoing CPD events, so we know our homeopaths are always up to date and keeping on point with what's happening in the homeopathic world. We have monthly guest speakers also doing that to enhance all of our homeopaths' knowledge. We are continually learning and enhancing. So anyone who's visiting Swift will know and have absolute confidence that they are being dealt with by professional homeopaths.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Can you tell us a little bit more about the practitioners? So I imagine that they are located all over the world, so this way you can cover the 24 hours. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We have homeopaths in the UK. We have some based in California, in the US. We've one in Puerto Rico. We've also got some spread through Europe as well. In fact, we pretty much someone everywhere. Exactly like you say, we need to have coverage for the 24 hours. So yeah, having homeopaths from all different countries does help. So yeah, but they're all everyone who works with us, they've all been vetted, they've had their qualifications checked. So like I said, we're really happy to say that we are a truly professional service with professional homeopaths.
Yes. And so do you offer services in English, or are there any other languages that you're covering or hoping to cover in the future?
Okay, well, the main language is English, but we have homeopaths also offering German, French, Spanish. We have Romanian, Polish, Urdu, Hindu. That's just, I've probably missed a few there. They're a talented bunch of young ladies that we've got working with us. it is phenomenal. So if there's a language that is needed, we will find a homeopath that can help with that. But I think we've pretty much got a really good coverage there.
Wow, that's so impressive. I mean, it's so visionary too, because really, people need to know more about homeopathy. And I think what you're saying is that it's such a wonderful way to jump into, or dip your toes into homeopathy to actually start with an acute situation instead of trying to, solve all your chronic problems right away. So I think Swift is great at providing that opportunity. And I think you're saying that then people can continue that relationship with the homeopath if they like them. Is that correct? How does that
Absolutely.
work?
Yeah, on the website, every one of our practitioners has got a profile, so you can have a look, visit the clinic team page, and you can pick on any of the homeopaths and read a little bio of them and get to know them a little bit. And if you have had a consultation with them on the platform, and like you say, you feel that relationship has been built and the rapport is there, you can absolutely ask to have a full consultation with them and continue that relationship and continue to build it. And all of the homeopaths are available to do that with. But if you haven't actually had the consultation, go through and have a look through the profiles, because it might just be that you'll feel that you resonate with one of them outside of an acute condition, and you think, yeah, I think I'd quite like to work with that person. I would also say that all of our practitioners offer a free 15-minute consultation, just an introductory conversation, so that you can actually talk to them first. And again, be absolutely sure that you have a rapport with them, because I think that's quite important for people to feel comfortable with the homeopath that they're going to go on and have ongoing treatment with.
Mm-hmm. That sounds wonderful. So I'm going to post the website on the notes here to the podcast, but you can also, it's called SwiftHomeopathicclinic.com. So anybody can access that right away on the web. And so I mean, I think this is such a wonderful service. I was really impressed, and just the vision of that you can wake up at night and actually reach out for help. And, at night or sometime where, help may not be accessible on a Sunday, there's no way to go to see a doctor, obviously. But now we can call somebody who is actually highly qualified and learn that homeopathy can be helpful, because it is, I think this is not a common knowledge yet, but homeopathy is very effective in especially acute conditions. It can take down your headache or take down your fever or fix your belly ache pretty fast, and you will be surprised. So I definitely encourage everybody to check out Swift. And, Claire, like the moment I learned about the service, I thought, you're really a visionary. You're looking into like, how can we improve the healthcare, the state of healthcare currently. So where do you see it going? Like, what can we do as consumers, as patients, to improve the future state of health for, the future generations, for our children? And all those.
Well, I think I would like to see the homeopathy being incorporated in with conventional medicine, because there is no doubt conventional medicine absolutely has its place. Of course, we need conventional medicine. Nobody is saying that we should forget it. But I do believe homeopathy can work beautifully alongside it, and I really do wish that we can get that relationship going. There's so many things that homeopathy can help with. For instance, if you have somebody who has a dreadfully chronic condition, let's say, for instance, somebody has been diagnosed with cancer and they're going through their chemotherapy and they're going through their active treatment, which is absolutely grueling on the body, but they're going through the necessary treatments. Homeopathy alongside can really help with the mental emotional side of that patient. We can bring some balance to that. If they are suffering with things like nausea from the treatment, homeopathy is amazing to help alongside that. Lots of people get different symptoms of itching, insomnia. Homeopathy, again, alongside those conventional meds, can bring really quick relief. And I personally myself have had a couple of patients who I have treated through some serious treatments, and they've been praised by their medical consultants that they are doing so well, and how have they managed to get through the nausea aspect, and how did they manage to get through the pain. And then when they're told, well, they use homeopathy as an alternative help, it's mind-blowing how it can bring it's this balance and treatment of this disharmony within. It just helps on a holistic view. And I have seen my patients get through grueling treatment schedules way better with the help of homeopathy. So I would love for us to be embraced together with the conventional medicines. And because there is plenty of research out there to say that homeopathy does work. And I would love for there to be more comprehensive research. Obviously, it's costly to get involved in studies, but it needs to have more so that people can be absolutely clear that there is that scientific evidence base behind it. It's there's just not enough of it. So let's get some more scientific evidence there to say homeopathy is definitely there and can definitely improve the state of your health going forward.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yes. Thank you so much for that. Let's not be afraid to bring together the alternative homeopathic treatment with conventional medicine, because it's going to only enhance it. So I think it's up to us, patients and consumers, and all of us out there to demand those treatments and to seek them and to take responsibility, and also be interested in the latest scientific research, because it is there, like you say, and we're trying to also bring it here in the podcast, it is so important to bring that, homeopathy back to its legitimate place, as it started as a legitimate medicinal art. So this is, my goal here. And I really thank you for, coming on and sharing, and for your wonderful vision with Swift, and how much help I know that you're bringing to many people around the world. And I encourage everybody who's listening to check out the website. It's Swift Homeopathy Clinic, and it's going to be I'm going to link this website to the notes to the podcast, and also on YouTube, so you can easily access that. Okay, wonderful. Is there anything else you wanted to conclude with, Claire, that you feel like it's important to share?
I think we've just about covered it, Monica. It's been it's lovely to have the opportunity to come and share some of my ideas and ideals for homeopathy. So thank you for doing the podcast. It's amazing. So I hope your listeners are feeling encouraged and empowered to try homeopathy for themselves.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Claire. Thank you, everybody, for watching today and in the future. And reach out if you have any questions or any suggestions for what you would like to listen to about homeopathy. Please reach out, and we'll talk with you soon. Thank you so much. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you. Bye-bye.